He fought for a decade to win his prize, a love that crossed continents, defied decades, and challenged every cultural norm. We saw Sumit Singh stand against his family, his society, and his own traditions to finally marry Jenny Slatten. It was the fairy tale ending viewers had been waiting for, a testament to enduring love. But what if that victory was a pyrrhic one? What if the prize he won was a Trojan horse, hiding a future of unimaginable loneliness and despair? A chilling psychological forecast, built on exclusive insider reports and a deep analysis of his life's trajectory, reveals that Sumit's greatest triumph will ultimately be his doom. His love story isn't a fairy tale, it's a slow-motion tragedy, and the final act is set to be the most devastating of all. Before we delve into this chilling psychological deep dive, a journey into the dark heart of a reality TV romance, we need your support to continue bringing you these exclusive theories. If you believe there's more to the story than what the cameras show, take a moment right now to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell. You won't want to miss a single update as we unravel the hidden truths behind the 90-day universe. Your engagement fuels our investigations. Now, let's peel back the layers of this celebrated romance and expose the terrifying future that awaits Sumit Singh. To understand the chilling prophecy of Sumit's future, we must first understand the man who built it, brick by painful brick. This isn't just a story about love. It's a case study in systematic self-isolation, a psychological phenomenon so complete that it has stunned experts who have followed his journey. We consulted with Dr. Alok Mehta, a life-planning psychologist specializing in cross-cultural identity conflicts, a field he says Sumit Singh has become the unfortunate poster child for. Dr. Mehta's analysis, combined with insider reports from those who have witnessed Sumit's transformation off-camera, paints a picture so bleak, it reframes every happy moment we've ever seen between him and Jenny. The theory is simple, yet profoundly disturbing. Sumit has not been building a life with Jenny. He has been methodically dismantling his own, ensuring that when Jenny is no longer in the picture, there will be nothing left of Sumit Singh. It's a process of complete erasure, a social and personal self-immolation performed over a decade for the entire world to see. Let's begin with the first and most crucial bridge he burned, the one that in his culture is designed to be indestructible, his family. To an American or Western audience, a man choosing his wife over his disapproving parents might seem noble, a sign of independence. But in the context of Indian society, it is an act of social suicide. Dr. Mehta calls it familial exile. He explains, in India, particularly in a traditional family like the Singhs, family is not just a support system. It is your identity. Your name, your reputation, your future, your financial safety net, and your social standing are all inextricably linked to your kin. To be disowned is not just an emotional blow, it is to be rendered a non-entity, a ghost in your own society. We all witnessed the gut-wrenching scenes, the tears, the threats, the emotional ultimatums from his mother, Sana. But what the cameras didn't fully capture was the finality of it all. An insider report from a source close to the Singh family revealed something terrifying. After the marriage, the family's communication with Sumit didn't just decrease. It entered what the source called a cold mourning. They have, for all intents and purposes, begun to treat Sumit as if he has already passed away. They no longer speak his name at family gatherings. His photos have been quietly removed from the main living areas. When distant relatives ask about him, Anil and Sahna simply change the subject. This isn't the temporary anger of disappointed parents. This is a cultural and spiritual excommunication. Sumit's gamble was that their love for him would eventually win out, that they would see his happiness with Jenny and relent. But he fundamentally miscalculated the depth of the cultural shame he had brought upon them. The marriage to an American woman nearly twice his age, a woman who could not give them grandchildren, was not just a personal choice. In their eyes, it was a public declaration that their lineage, their values, and their legacy meant nothing to him. He didn't just break their rules, he shattered their world. Sana's infamous threat to end her own life was not just melodrama for the cameras. Dr. Mehta explains that this represents the absolute peak of parental disgrace in their culture. By proceeding with the marriage, Sumit effectively called her bluff, an act of defiance so profound that it created a wound that can never heal. He chose Jenny over his mother's honor, and in their world, there is no coming back from that. So, the first pillar of his existence is gone. He is a son without parents, a brother without a family, an uncle his nieces and nephews will never truly know. he has been surgically removed from his own bloodline. This single act alone would be enough to cripple a man in his society, but for Sumit, it was only the beginning. The second bridge he torched was his career and financial independence. This is a part of the story that is often overlooked in favor of the romantic drama, but it is the practical foundation of his future ruin. What was Sumit's career? He worked in a call center. A respectable job, but not one with a trajectory that could support the lifestyle he was aspiring to with an American partner. An exclusive report from a former colleague of Sumit's sheds new light on a path not taken. Apparently, in the years before Jenny moved to India permanently, Sumit's father, Anil, had used his connections to secure Sumit an interview for a management training program at a major IT firm in Gurugram. It was a golden ticket, a real career with benefits, a pension, and a clear path to upper-middle-class security. It was the future his parents had always dreamed for him, but the program required a multi-year commitment and occasional travel, things that would have been impossible while trying to manage the clandestine and demanding relationship with Jenny. He turned it down. He chose the dead-end call center job because it offered the flexibility to live his double life. He sacrificed a legitimate, respectable future for a relationship that, at the time, had no legal or social standing. Now his career is reality television personality. But let's be honest, in the vast ecosystem of 90 Day Fiancé, Sumit and Jenny are not top-tier stars. They don't have the massive endorsement deals, the spin-offs, or the mainstream appeal of some other couples. Their fame is niche, and it has a shelf life. More importantly, this career has zero currency in his local community. He isn't seen as a successful media personality. He's seen as the guy from the embarrassing TV show who married the old American lady. It has destroyed his professional reputation. No respectable Indian company would likely hire him for a serious role now, as he carries the baggage of public scandal and is perceived as unreliable and unserious. He has traded a future of professional dignity for fleeting, low-level fame. This leads directly to his financial ruin. The show has highlighted that Jenny is living on her Social Security, a fixed income. Sumit contributes little to nothing. He is, for all practical purposes, entirely financially dependent on a foreign retiree. Dr. Mehta terms this infantilization. He says, Sumit has regressed. An Indian man in his 30s is expected to be the primary provider, the financial anchor of his family. Sumit has willingly adopted the role of a dependent, effectively becoming Jenny's child rather than her partner. This is a profound reversal of cultural expectations and a source of immense internal shame, whether he admits it or not. He has no savings to speak of, no pension plan, no property in his name. His entire financial existence is tied to Jenny's monthly check from the US government. When that check stops, so does his life. The bridge to a self-sufficient future, to the pride of being a provider, has been doused in gasoline and set ablaze. This brings us to the third, and perhaps most insidious bridge he burned, his social standing and his very identity. Sumit's entire world, his entire sense of self, has been compressed into a single point. Jenny's husband. Think about it. Before Jenny, he was Sumit Singh, son of Sana and Anil, a brother, a friend, a worker. He had a complex identity forged within his community. Now, who is he? In his neighborhood, he is a pariah. An insider who lives in the same area described the silent judgment he faces daily. The way other men at the market avoid making eye contact, the way women whisper as he walks by, the invitations to weddings and community festivals that have stopped coming. He and Jenny live on a social island surrounded by a sea of their own countrymen who view them as a freak show. He has lost his friends. The friends we saw on the show, who tried to reason with him, have reportedly distanced themselves. They have their own families and reputations to protect, and being closely associated with Sumit is a social liability. They cannot bring him to a family function without causing a scene or facing endless questions. So they fade away. This social isolation has forced a psychological dependency on Jenny that is dangerously absolute. She is not just his wife, she is his entire social circle. She is his only confidant, his only friend, his only link to a world that doesn't judge him. Dr. Mehta calls this a folie à deux, a shared madness or delusion. He has engineered a world where only Jenny's approval matters because he has systematically eliminated every other source of validation from his life, Dr. Mehta states. His identity is no longer internal, it's external. It is reflected back at him by one person. This is an incredibly fragile state of existence. If that one mirror shatters, the person looking into it ceases to exist. This is the core of the chilling prediction. Sumit's fight for Jenny wasn't just a quest for love. It was an unconscious act of rebellion against the immense pressures of his culture. He felt trapped by his parents' expectations, by the prospect of an arranged marriage, by the suffocating weight of tradition. Jenny represented the ultimate escape, a ticket to a world where he didn't have to be Anil's son, where he could break every rule and for a time feel liberated. But he didn't realize that in breaking the rules, he was also breaking himself. He was trading one set of obligations for a prison of his own making, a prison with only two occupants. His identity has been foreclosed. He has not grown or evolved. He has simply swapped one definition of himself, a traditional Indian son, for another, far more limiting one, Jenny's foreign husband. He has no children, and at this point, no prospect of having any. In a culture where carrying on the family line is a paramount duty, he is a dead end. He has no career to pour his energy into, no professional goals to strive for. He has no community that respects him, no social gatherings to look forward to. His entire existence revolves around the day-to-day maintenance of his relationship with Jenny, cooking for her, accompanying her on errands, living within the four walls of their apartment. It's a life of quiet desperation, disguised as romantic devotion. This is the evidence, the methodical deconstruction of a man's life. It's not one single bad decision, but a decade-long pattern of choices, each one leading him further away from his culture, his family, and himself. Each bridge he burned was a point of no return. He severed ties with his family, guaranteeing he would have no one to turn to in old age. He abandoned a real career, guaranteeing he would be financially destitute. He alienated his community, guaranteeing he would be socially isolated. He has curated a future with a single point of failure: the life of his wife, a woman 30 years his senior. He fought so hard to win the battle for Jenny's hand, but he was so focused on the fight that he never stopped to consider the war for the rest of his life. He was winning skirmishes while ceding all of his territory, and now he stands on a tiny island of his own creation, with the tide of time slowly, inevitably rising. The theory is no longer a theory, it is a reality in motion. We are watching the proof play out in real time. He has successfully engineered a future where he will be utterly, completely, and devastatingly alone. The inevitable is coming. By the simple, unchangeable laws of nature and time, Jenny will pass away. And on that day, Sumit's carefully constructed world will not just crack, it will vaporize. He will wake up a widower in his 50s or 60s, a social outcast disowned by his family, with no children to comfort him, no career to give him purpose, and no money to his name. He will have sacrificed the entirety of his Indian life, the vibrant festivals, the comfort of familial bonds, the respect of his peers, the joy of fatherhood, for a relationship that, by its very nature, had a tragically limited time frame. The love story will be over, but his life will not. And it is in that silent, empty future that the true cost of his victory will be calculated. It's a debt that will be paid in solitude, in regret, and in the haunting silence of a life given away for a love that could not, in the end, save him from himself. The house he shares with Jenny will no longer be a love nest. It will become a tomb, a monument to a life he chose to end long before it was over. He will be a ghost in his own home, in his own country, haunted by the choices that led him to this cold, empty future. The reckoning is not a matter of if, but when, and it will be a quiet, private hell, far away from the prying eyes of the television cameras that once celebrated his doomed romance. He will be left with nothing but memories and the crushing weight of what he threw away. His greatest love story is destined to leave him with a legacy of total, absolute, and inescapable isolation. Let us now step through the looking glass, into the future that Sumit himself has so meticulously designed. This is the reckoning. It is not a guess. It is a psychological inevitability, the final grim equation derived from a decade of his own actions. We will flash forward to a hypothetical but highly probable future, a portrait of Sumit Singh in his late 50s, perhaps early 60s. The man we see is a ghost, haunting the ruins of his own life. The stage for this final act is the very apartment that once symbolized his victory. The colorful tapestries now seem faded, the furniture worn. The air once filled with Jenny's laughter and their blended Spanglish Hindi chatter is now thick with a suffocating silence, broken only by the hum of an old refrigerator and the distant sounds of a world that has moved on without him. Jenny is gone. It was peaceful as such things can be. But her passing was more than the death of a spouse. It was the extinguishing of Sumit's universe. For years, his entire existence was a closed loop. Jenny. He woke for Jenny, he cooked for Jenny, he shopped for Jenny, he lived for Jenny. Her needs were his purpose. Her presence was his shield against the world he had abandoned. Now the loop is broken, and he is adrift in a vacuum. The first few weeks were a blur of condolences from the small transient community of 90-Day Fiancé fans online. But that fades. The digital sympathy cards stop coming. The algorithms move on, and Sumit is left with the stark, brutal reality of his creation. Imagine a Tuesday. Sumit wakes up, not to the sound of Jenny asking for her morning tea, but to the oppressive silence. He lies in bed for a long time, staring at the ceiling, because there is no reason to get up. There is no one to care for, no one to speak to. The purpose that animated his body for decades has been unplugged. Eventually, he shuffles into the kitchen. The muscle memory is a cruel torture. He reaches for 2 cups before a jolt of reality stays in his hand. He makes 1 cup of chai, the process mechanical, devoid of the love and ritual it once held. He sits at the small table, in his chair, and stares at her empty one. This is not just grief. Grief is a natural process of healing. This is something else. This is the dawning horror of a life sentence in a prison of solitude. He needs to go to the market. This daily errand, once a simple chore, is now an ordeal of social humiliation. As he walks down the street, he is a known figure, but not a respected one. He is a local legend for all the wrong reasons. The older women, the aunties who sit on their porches, stop their chatter as he approaches. Their eyes follow him, not with sympathy, but with a cold, knowing pity that is far worse than scorn. They see him as the living embodiment of a cautionary tale they tell their own sons. This is what happens when you forsake your family. This is what happens when you disrespect your mother. The men, his peers, the ones he might have grown up with, now look straight through him. They are grandfathers now, bouncing their grandchildren on their knees. They are successful business owners, respected elders in the community. They talk of retirement plans, of their children's weddings, of the new temple wing they are helping to fund. Sumit has no entry into these conversations. What could he possibly say? My American wife passed away? To them, she was never his wife. She was his folly, his great shame, and he is the lingering evidence of that shame. At the vegetable stall, he waits his turn, but the vendor serves 2 other people who arrived after him. It's a small slight, but it's a death by 1,000 cuts. He is invisible, a non-person. When he finally pays, the vendor doesn't meet his eye. The transaction is cold, perfunctory. He is a pariah, and this daily ritual is a constant reminder of the social death he chose long ago. He returns to the apartment, the silence rushing in to greet him at the door. He unpacks his meager groceries, and the rest of the day stretches before him, an endless barren desert of time. There are no phone calls to expect. His brother Amit and his wife Shri may have felt a fleeting moment of pity when Jenny passed. Perhaps there was a single awkward phone call, but what could they possibly do? Invite him into their life? Bring the specter of family disgrace to their dinner table to sit beside their children? The children who represent the future of the Singh family, a future Sumit rejected? It's impossible. To welcome Sumit back would be to retroactively validate his choices, to spit on the authority and honor of their parents, Sana and Anil. The wound is too deep, the scandal too public, so they keep their distance, their silence a final, merciful cruelty. His financial situation is dire. Jenny's social security checks, the lifeblood of their existence, stopped with her last breath. The small amount of money they made from cameos and social media appearances has long since dried up. He is a man in his late 50s with a resume that effectively has a 20-year gap, a gap filled with being a reality TV star. He tries to find work, but who will hire him? He is too old for the call centers, too infamous for any position that requires public trust or professional dignity. He ends up taking odd jobs, menial labor, the kind of work a man from his family background would never have imagined for himself. He delivers groceries, he cleans storefronts at night. The work is physically taxing, but the emotional toll is heavier. It is the final crushing humiliation. Sumit Singh, son of Anil and Sahna, is now an anonymous low-wage laborer, struggling to pay the rent on an apartment that is a museum of his dead past. The nights are the worst. Loneliness is a physical presence in the room. He scrolls through his phone, looking at old pictures of him and Jenny. Happy times in Goa, celebrating his birthday, their wedding day. For a fleeting moment, he feels the warmth of that love. He tells himself it was worth it. He loved her. She loved him. It was a great romance. But the lie is thin, and the reality of his present situation tears through it like paper. The what-ifs begin to creep in, quiet whispers that turn into a deafening roar in the silence of the night. What if he had listened to his parents? What if he had married the woman they had chosen for him? He imagines her face, a composite of girls he knew from his youth. He imagines the children they would have had. A son, perhaps, who would now be in university. A daughter whose wedding he would be planning. He imagines holiday gatherings, the house filled with the chaos and laughter of family. He imagines being part of something, belonging to a lineage, to a future. He sees his brother Amit with his family, and the image is a knife in his heart. Amit did everything right. He followed the path, and he has everything Sumit threw away: a family, respect, a future. Dr. Mehta refers to this state as compounded, unresolved regret. It's not just mourning for a lost partner, it's mourning for a lost life, a lost self. Sumit's tragedy, Dr. Mehta's analysis concludes, is that he cannot even properly grieve Jenny. Because to fully embrace his love for her as a pure and successful endeavor, he must ignore the catastrophic wreckage it has caused in every other aspect of his life. Conversely, to acknowledge the wreckage is to admit that his great love story was, in fact, a great mistake. He is trapped in a psychological limbo, unable to find peace in the past or hope in the future. He is frozen, a man out of time. He sees his parents now elderly and frail from a distance. Perhaps he sees them at the market or near the temple. He doesn't approach. He knows the pain his presence would cause. He knows Sana would not see her son, but the ghost of her own failed motherhood, the public symbol of her dishonor. And so he watches them from afar, a son who can never go home, loving a family that has already mourned him. His greatest love story, the one he sacrificed everything for, will leave him with a legacy of absolute nothingness. He has no children to carry on his name. He has no wealth or property to pass down. He has no wisdom that will be sought by younger generations. He has no community that will remember him fondly. When he eventually passes away, his death will be a quiet, unnoticed event. A footnote. The neighbors will talk about the man who married the old American woman. His apartment will be cleared out. The colorful tapestries will be thrown away, and it will be as if Sumit Singh never existed at all. The man who tried to have it all, the epic rule-breaking love of a Western wife, and the unconditional approval and support of his Indian mother, was a man playing a game he could never win. He believed he could straddle two worlds, but in the end, both worlds rejected him. He won the battle for love, a battle that raged for a decade. But in doing so, he lost the war for the rest of his life. He stands alone on the battlefield, the victor of a single skirmish, surrounded by the ruins of everything that truly matters. Is this the most tragic end of all? A future so cold, so empty, that it makes you question if love was ever worth the price? Let us know your thoughts on Sumit's future. This is the final, chilling prediction.